All right, folks, it is time for the World Edition news on Pod TV. And of course, it is now June 5th, 2026, and a lot's going on in the world. We'll be talking about that here on the show and everything like that. Jared Kushner's resort plan in Albania faces public protests. Protests grow over resort in Albania linked to Trump son in law, Jared Kushner. So, definitely Al Jazeera is saying Kushner Island, while a planned resort, has provoked protests in Albania. Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner's Albanian resort plan sets off days of protests, and Albania is not for sale, protesters say over the Kushner linked luxury resort near a protected wetland. Xi Jinping to visit North Korea next week. So he will be traveling to North Korea next week in his first visit since 2019. Chinese leader will travel to that particular country next week in that first visit since 2019. And it's definitely showing China's importance to a nuclear armed neighbor. Russia floods Armenia with disinformation ahead of their election. So, backed by Trump, opposed by Putin, and fighting for his political life is what one person is saying about this particular election. If even Armenians reject Russia, Putin's got a problem. So, Armenia's election offers a choice between Russia and the EU. Vladimir Zelensky proposes a peace talk in a letter to Vladimir Putin. So Zelensky proposes a face to face talk in an open letter to Putin. In an open letter to Putin, Zelensky calls for a meeting and a ceasefire with Ukraine stronger on the battlefield. Zelensky is offering to meet Putin, and he's calling for a face to face negotiation. Andrew's Royal Lodge Properties investigation. Ex Prince Andrew sublet Royal Lodge properties to boost private income, and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor sublet cottages on Royal Lodge estate while he paid. So it looks like he earned income from the Royal Lodge cottage sublets, and that's something that folks are talking about as well, as he made money subletting cottages on his rent-free estate, is what reports are showing. And the Slovene prime minister takes down Palestinian flag in a pivot back to Israel. So after a pro-Israel prime minister forms government in Slovenia, Israel will open its first embassy there. Turning a new page, Israel to open its first ever embassy in Slovenia. So this is something going on in that particular part of Europe as well. Putin says Russia will booster its air defenses in response to Ukrainian drone attacks, and Israel and Lebanon agreed to renew ceasefire as Iran launches deadly attack on Kuwait airport. So Iran strikes U.S. military in Kuwait. Major media failed to provide key details, is what Counterpunch is reporting as well. Iran's IRGC attack, U.S. Fifth Fleet headquarters, air base is what local media is reporting. So we'll be finding out more about that. And Balkan leaders attend EU summit in Montenegro as enlargement gains urgency. Germany and France are pitching swifter benefits for EU hopefuls in the Balkans and Moldavia. So Europe's most exclusive club might be getting bigger. And there's even been talking about adding Ukraine as well. And Europe needs new military alliance to defend itself, is what Italy is saying. Make defense European again. Europe needs clarity from U.S., is what top German defense officials are saying. And the end of America's unconditional security guarantee for Europe. And China bans four New Zealand MPs over a Taiwan visit. So, four New Zealand lawmakers banned from China after their Taiwan visit. Beijing slaps travel ban on New Zealand MPs for crossing the red line over Taiwan. And giant hissing cockroaches among $200,000 worth of illegal insects seized in Australia. Australian cockroach kingpin caught with $100,000 illegal insects in a record bug bust. So there's something going on as well, as more than 100,000 cockroaches worth $200,000 were seized from a NSW breeder in a record-breaking bust. And Canada signals stronger forced labor import measures following the new U.S. tariff threats. Broad new U.S. tariffs renew uncertainty for business and trading partners. Greer says deal's a deal for economies with capped U.S. tariffs. U.S. targets Cambodia over forced labor import rules and all along those lines. So definitely there's a lot going on in the world, and we're definitely going to be covering that here on Pod TV. Waiting to hear from some of my folks as they come in and share their insights as well. China marks the 37th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square crackdown. Police warned families of Tiananmen crackdown dead not to visit graves on 37th anniversary. Despite censorship, young Chinese are learning the truth about Tiananmen Square. Every year I get new pictures. The fight to preserve the memory of Tiananmen is what is being reported in The Guardian. Rubio says China cannot erase the memories of Tiananmen Square crackdown. And Henry Nowak inquest to probe actions of the police. This is what the coroner is saying. So the controversy behind the U.S. intervention in a murder case that has rocked Britain. America thinks the UK has a policing problem. Yes, that America. And video of a dying teen handcuffed by police sparks outrage and riots across Britain. So that's definitely something that people are talking about as well. So definitely that's a concern of people in the British theater. Dawei Sharper found alive after 6 days on Mount Everest. So, a miraculous story of survival high on Everest as a Sherpa guide missing for a week found alive. Nepali Mount Everest guide found alive after being missing for 6 days. So, the Mount Everest Sherpa is rescued. Family questions rescue efforts for Dawei Shepherd found alive on Mount Everest. And Ukrainian drones, as I reported a couple of days ago, hit St. Petersburg as Putin's flagship economic forum is going on as well. And marine drone self detonates in Romania port as Black Sea threatened is widened. So a maritime drone explodes at a Romanian Black Sea port. No one was hurt. But definitely, this is something going on where a drone hit a Romanian apartment building about 6 days ago. But this latest one is from earlier today. And can Abelardo de la Espriella, a U.S. citizen, become Colombia's president? That's what some folks are asking. As Colombia's presidency goes to runoff election that could redefine relations with the U.S. So that's definitely something that folks are talking about as well. So definitely, and a senior Hamas official was killed in the Gaza strikes. IDF says 9 Palestinians reported dead. And I'm even hearing some numbers that are as high as 11 or maybe even more. South Korea's governing Democratic Party sweeps local elections, but they might have some other troubles that are going on as well. And Steven Seagal, Candace Owen, and Trump's ballroom commissioners have appeared at a event as well. So definitely, it looks like this is something that folks are talking about as these are folks that have attended Putin's own Davos. So Trump's ballroom chief, the conspiracy theorist, and Steven Seagal apparently are in Russia and everything like that. So these are folks that maybe are there and maybe they're trying to secure some deals for themselves. But it'll be interesting to see what folks have to say about that. I'm going to bring in Dr. Sharif. So other folks may be joining us later as well. But how are you doing over there in Bangladesh? What's the latest news happening in Bangladesh? As we were just letting folks know about some of the news of the U.S. and other places. But I know we'd love to hear from what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, thank you. This is actually a very critical moment, not only for Bangladesh, but also for all of the South Asian countries like India, like Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Nepal, and Bhutan, and Sri Lanka, Maldives, and so on, because of climate change. The El Nino has a major impact. Right now, we have a heat wave. Um, Many of the people actually suffering for this El Nino, for this climate change. But I know that many of the American component and the political person and the people, they do not trust climate change. But we are suffering for that particular issues. Secondly, for these energy related issues, right now we have our political challenges and so on, because uh, 90% of our energy come from Middle East and Middle East market, because of this Iran and USA and the war and the Hormuz crisis. Bangladesh government has to increase the oil and gas and price, and for that particular issues, right now we have economic inflations and it's around 9%. So when we have economic inflations, Bangladesh has to work with IMF, because Bangladesh need a loan for Bangladesh government to run these things, and IMF restructuring the whole procedures and so on. Third important aspects, because of these AI revolutions, many of the peoples, they are losing job, not only in North America, and we are losing market in the Middle East and so on. And Also, USA recently come up with the idea of increasing more tariff. It's creating more tension in the business industries. Bangladesh is part of these things. Also, for this immigration and visa issues, Bangladesh is USA is a very big destination. Even though I also love to learn and studies in USA and grow my knowledge and so on from US economy, as I want to develop my career as an economist. So for that particular issues around the world, we have tension, we have untrust, and major issues. And from there, we find lot of misinformation and disinformation in the social media. And I want to give a special thanks to you to organize this kind of podcast where we can raise our voice, where we can share our real informations, which is important, which is particularly very, very important. The same way, we also share your podcast around my communities, and I request through my podcast, through your podcast, that you can observe this podcast and you can learn more and grow things. Economically, it's very challenging situation. Healthcare issues, it's a very challenging moment. Food security, it's a very challenging moment. Political situation, it's a very challenging moment. USA always a great community, great country. They have great diplomat and so on. Hopefully, with the political stability, with peacekeeping missions, with innovation, with more alignment and collaborations, Bangladesh can get economic stability and so on. Thank you for your great question.
Hey, no problem at all. How are you doing, Rick? What do you see in
I'm
the
all
news
right.
this week?
Congratulations. You guys evened up the Stanley Cup series.
Yeah, I was up late watching that game. It was looking like dire there for a minute. We were down 2-0, and then we came back, tied the game. Then we took the lead, and then they tied the game, and then we went into overtime and won the game. But yeah, for a minute there, it looked like we were about to go down 2-0 heading to Las Vegas, and there were even commentators that were talking about a sweep, but that will not happen. And now we've got to go hopefully try to steal a game in Vegas like they stole a game in our area and try to make it back to us having home court advantage and everything like that.
I can't watch games like that. I have to just like turn to a different channel and peek every once in a while.
And like I said, it was I was getting very tense because we were down 2-0, and then after we tied it up, I was very nervous. So yeah, it was nerve wracking and everything. I was actually talking to a good friend of mine who's actually been to a few of the games. I think he's probably been to him and his wife to probably about 10 or 15 of the games during the season and everything like that. They've not gone because they went to some of the early playoff games. I don't know if they'll make it to any of the Stanley Cup because those tickets can get expensive, but they've been watch parties and everything else. And so he was very tension driven, and he's actually got me. I know Jacoby's worked for the Canes in the past, but his other friend Martin has got me
Yeah.
into hockey. He actually was teasing me. He's like, I think I'm making you a hockey fan. And it's not a sport that I was really that much into.
Well, we've
But
got other sports coming up. We've got that crazy White House thing in 9 days.
yeah, and he's talking about making like a connection between uh the promenade and like some arch he wants to build. It was something that crazy that I saw that he wanted to
Yeah, he
build like
kind of wants to reshape Washington in his image.
yeah, it's
And
like
well,
because it was like a
Dr.
bridge that he
Sharif, you
wanted.
follow any sports?
Yes, I follow.
What do
But
you?
Yeah.
Who do you root for?
Okay. Like if you say about US sports and other things, honestly speaking, it's difficult for me to follow because of the time zone and other things.
Sure. And why would you?
Uh,
It's freaking 10,000 miles away.
but definitely for our countries, for our cultural activities and so on, I heavily follows. I told you before, football and cricket, what you call soccer, right? In USA,
Yeah.
you call
right.
it
Yeah.
soccer. So it's very popular in our country, and people love to engage with the sports and so on. And also, I see when I engage with Bangladesh defense people also maintain the sports and discipline and so on. I really enjoyed sports when I was young. I was cricketers, and so I engaged sports heavily. And good, a lot of things we can do. Why don't we go for this cultural and sports integrations? I have one proposal for you. My uncle, he right now is a cultural minister in Bangladesh. His name is Ali Nawaz Mahmoud Koyoms. If you see my podcast, you can see some point he attended in our World Talent Economic Forum. I also help him for this political campaign and so on. Also build up this urban planning. So cultural ministry has planned to do more collaborations with global media. So Pot TV, like Nick Palveda, Kimberly, and definitely all of you have experience in Hollywood. Why they prefer Hollywood? Because Bangladesh cultures, Bangladesh movie industry want to improve, right? And how they can collaborate. They can collaborate with Hollywood and so on. This is a great opportunity. If you are interested, we can organize meeting
Sure.
with the cultural ministers, my uncle. Also, we want to invite you all in Bangladesh in our cultural activities and conference. And I'm sure you will enjoy the Bangladeshi culture. And Bangladeshi people will know more about Pot TV guests and speakers through this process. So why don't we create this North America and Bangladesh movie and global media alignment? With
Okay, that sounds good. Except I'm very lazy. I am a lazy guy. But
How lazy are you?
well, it's lucky I have pants on right
Well,
now.
that's But no, this bridge is apparently President Trump is proposing a pedestrian bridge dubbed the Trump Promenade connecting the Lincoln Memorial to the Potomac River. And so basically, this is something that he wants to add to. So, like you said, maybe he kind of created the DC in his image, even though DC was originally created by an African American gentleman, Benjamin Banneker, if I remember correctly, and everything like that. But yeah, I guess maybe he wants to have his own image of how DC should look and everything like that. So he's already eyeing his next DC renovation, the Lincoln Memorial. So, some of his renovations have not gone that well because I think they're taking his name off of the Kennedy Center and everything like that. So, but yeah, I guess he just wants his name all over DC, just like he had his name a lot over New York when he was living up there in New York, and definitely has his DC over. I mean, has his name over parts of my
Yeah, all right. Well, this promenade is not. It's not the worst thing. It's just a walkway from the Lincoln Memorial down to the banks of the Potomac, which is, he might find a way to make that a travesty, but a walkway. They should be able to do it without too much disruption. But
I mean, one of the biggest walkways, isn't that to some degree? Because I had some people from uh, Texas that were visiting here at the KTAS Center where I work at and everything like that, and they were talking about Riverwalk, and I think Riverwalk is nothing but a walkway, right? Because it's kind of a walkway around the river of, I believe that's the river of San Antonio and stuff like that. But
yeah, people like that stuff.
they feel-
So employment, U.S. payroll, U.S. employment rose by 172,000 jobs in May, which is unexpectedly more than, which is about double what they expected. And would be almost a normal month under another president. For the past 15 years, U.S. jobs have grown at about 200,000 a month, and that wasn't the case for the past year. But so this is almost 200,000 if the number holds up, and it's almost a normal month for job growth. So if you look at the past 3 months, if those numbers hold up, those numbers are pretty decent after the first year of Trump, 13 months of Trump, where the numbers were terrible.
Okay. Well, I was trying to figure out why there was a bunch of people that were driving around biking in this area, and I just found out because today is June 5th, because I saw a lot of bikers, and they were mostly African American bikers and everything like that. But apparently, there is an event that was going on that I was not aware of. It was called the Freedom Ride, so that would explain why people were riding. Because I even saw somebody that was doing speed skating because he had the blades on, like his foot, and was traveling. But apparently, it's been an event called MTICA 2026, and I guess this is the closing event because it was started on April 26th, and maybe commemorated part of that, which is the largest Civil War surrender that took place in this area and everything like that. With this event, because it looks like it was celebrating a woman named Major Taylor and everything like that. And there's the Major Taylor Cycling Club. It was formed in 1979 and everything, but for the first time in this particular organization's history, their convention is coming to North Carolina. So riders were departing from downtown Durham and pedaling to the site where the freedom that made Major Taylor possible was finally secured. So that was Bennett Place, about the Civil War. So 161 years after the surrender and 127 years after he claimed the world championship, the Freedom Ride is Sankofa made physical reaching back through the roads that formed us to carry the history forward. And I do know this woman, Michelle Lanier, that apparently is the keynote speaker and everything like that. But yeah, I was trying to figure out why I was seeing a bunch of bicyclists in our area. I was even asking some of our bus drivers that they had no idea either. But it was a 22
All right,
mile.
so can we go back to employment for a second? So the biggest sector for increases in employment, 70,000 jobs in leisure and hospitality, which makes sense because we have the World Cup starting, I don't know when, next week, I can find out. People are hiring in a bunch of cities ahead of that.
World Cup schedule. Let's see when the World Cup will be starting and everything like that. World Cup.
One thing I just want to know from Rick and from Mark, because both of you from media, right? You have experience from media. So if definitely I share this content with my audience, my government, my corporations, and my young people. So my request, like, what Bangladesh can do to improve the global media area, like the news and media. How they can collaborate with Hollywood, different industries, and if they want to make movies, if they want to do conference.
But the best way to collaborate is to offer tax credits and cheap production. We have a city here, Albuquerque, New Mexico, that's home of a couple famous shows, Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And they didn't pick Albuquerque, the producers, because Albuquerque is Breaking Bad is about the illegal meth industry, making illegal drugs. But they didn't pick, and Albuquerque does have a lot of meth. It does have a lot of crime and illegal stuff, but they didn't pick Albuquerque because of the drugs. They picked it because Albuquerque gave them huge tax credits. They said, come to and film in our state, and we will reduce the costs of production. And the producers of that show are now on their third show in Albuquerque. And now Albuquerque has a huge production studio, and a ton of movies are made in Albuquerque, in New Mexico, because they say we'll make it cheaper. So anything Bangladesh can do to make it cheaper for production, you will get international productions coming to you.
Yeah, that makes sense, because
you guys are right next to India. You can steal business from Bollywood if you make it cheap enough.
I mean, that's even what happens.
It's very possible because Bangladesh human resource cost is low. Like our studios and other things, if you want to build, it can be low. We can request government for tax exemptions. I can request ministers. Maybe next week I can attend. Mark and Rick and all of the producers from Pot TVs. It's very serious. Including Nick and Kimberly, can we go for a brainstorming sessions? What we can offer from Pot TV? I'm sure there is a huge market opportunity you have.
Also,
media.
You have an exotic location that's not a city, one of the world's mega cities. Dhaka is huge, but Americans, and I don't know about the rest of of Europe. I don't know that. I've never seen a major movie set in Dhaka. And I think, that would, people are always interested in seeing new stuff. And I think, somebody could put together a show or a movie or more than one that shows your country, because, you guys are huge. You've got half the population of the U.S., but you were overshadowed for the attention of the rest of the world, because you're next to two tremendous countries. You've got India, right?
Hey, just hold on a second. And I'd love to hear about these movies from Dr. Sharif, but I did move on to your numbers, Rick. I looked it up. It said major movies set in Dhaka, Bangladesh included Extraction, which is in 2020. That was an American thriller directed by Sam Hargrave and starred Chris Hemsworth. And the plot centers on.
I saw most of that movie. It was okay, and then maybe I fell asleep.
And then Refugee, which is a Hindi romantic drama directed by J.P. Datta and everything like that. And the film is notable for launching the careers of Abhishek Bachchan and Kareena Kapoor. And then it's also Borbed, which was a 2020 film, and that's listed in the film set in Dhaka category, which is about Dhaka life. And then there's the one called Prince, Once Upon a Time in Dhaka, and Made in Bangladesh, which explores the country's cultural and social fabric with Dhaka and then INSIF. So it looks like they've got a pretty decent movies community there in Dhaka, including Bonalata Express, which was made earlier this year, and Rakash, which is a action romance. So have you heard of any of these movies, Dr. Sharif, and have you watched any of them?
Yeah, recently Bonalata Sen, me and my wife watch, and all of my family member watch Bangladeshi cultures. Actually, if you see the Bangladeshi people, it's around exactly around American people. We have around 300 people, 300 million people around the world, those who speak in Bengali. So
So,
Bangladesh has culture like 5,000 years of culture. Yeah.
so
Yes.
Extraction was made for 65 million bucks and was a huge hit for Netflix, being seen in over 99 million households. It's one of the highest viewership totals in Netflix history. And then they made Extraction 2, um, and also was a hit. So are they making? Yeah, they're making Extraction 3. I don't know if they're all set in Bangladesh, but uh, it was successful for Netflix. So anytime you have a success, they're going to try to repeat it.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to try to repeat it and everything like that. So no doubt they'll be trying to repeat whatever they can and everything like that. But so there's no doubt that they'll be doing that when they can. By the way, you were asking about the World Cup, and it looks like it will start on June 11th, which is this coming Thursday, and the first match will be Mexico against South Africa, and that's at 3 p.m. And then there are other matches on that same day: Republic of Korea against Czechia, and then Canada against Bosnia, and all along those lines. So, but that's actually on Friday, and then the first USA game will be Friday, June 12th, and that'll be the USA against Paraguay. So
Okay.
they do have games set, and the first games will be not this weekend, but the following weekend.
Um, so all right, except Extraction 2 wasn't filmed in Dhaka. It was they moved it to Dubai,
So they moved into Dubai.
which I would imagine cost more. I mean, Dubai is like a very like fancy ass, little teeny oil rich Middle Eastern nation, unless maybe Dubai offered tax credits. I don't know. And then there was Extraction 3. Let's see. But anyway, yeah, it's
One thing I just want to add, like people are very excited about Singapore. I can understand that they have a very good infrastructure. The same way about Dubai, they have a good policy and infrastructure, but try to understand that the population, market, customers. Uh, Actually, Dubai population is very small, right? Right now, because of this war and heavily attacked by the Iran and everything, so many investors and the many businessmen, many tourists, they're actually leaving Dubai. So this is the challenge. On the other hand, I know that our infrastructures and other thing is not like Dubai, not like Singapore, but still we have a very good, decent amount of people and customers. I said the East Bengal and West Bengal, we have 300 million people, those who speak in Bengali. It's the fifth largest communities around the world. So as my uncle is a minister and he is a big fan of World Talent Economic Forum, so they are deploying. So all of your advice regarding media, guideline regarding this Hollywood and collaborations. I want to welcome you all uh, with your intellectual activities, and definitely you can get a professional support and so on. I believe it's a very good opportunities for Port TV and for us.
let's see. I'm going to ask AI. How can you increase your media footprint? So to grow it, AI says to grow its media footprint, Bangladesh must transition from traditional politically captured broadcasting to independent digital first ecosystems, prioritizing high quality localized content and digital expansion will capture a younger audiences and attract global attention. So key strategies include invest in local original content, I guess, it can be anything from, and Jacoby probably knows more than I do, but like anything from TikTok on up. Um, you also, you guys, America has a lot of political, you know, you know, chaos going on right now, and you guys, I guess, have a little bit of that. And AI is saying you want institutional and editorial independence. Um, it says structural reforms and editorial independence. Like right now in the US, we are seeing government suppression of news with Trump canceling Stephen Colbert and urging CBS to destroy our most venerable news program, 60 Minutes. All the good reporters are being fired and they're being replaced with political hacks. So anything you can do to avoid stuff like that in your country.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense and everything like that. We do have some other news that was going on. One of the news came from
support micro influencers, bloggers, and niche outlets. Which
I was going to get to something for Sasha because I know he'll probably be talking about it on his show at 11 o'clock. But it looks like Zelensky is putting out the notion of having talks with Putin and everything like that. So he just put that out recently. But what is your thoughts around this? Because he just said this earlier today, and I had reported that on the news brief earlier, where he was saying that he's interested in sitting down with Putin and having some sort of ceasefire talks and everything like that. So what's your take?
We're talking about these talks for the last couple of years. Putin insists that the talks will be held in Moscow. Zelensky says any place in the world except Moscow. So here we go. So for another 3-4 years, they will be discussing where to hold these talks, and I really don't see much progress there. What I can say is that on the front lines, Russia have zero progress whatsoever. They cannot move forward because all the territory is under control of Ukrainian drones. Period. Full stop. If you want to infiltrate that in small groups, 2-3 people, they will be instantly liquidated. It will take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. They will be liquidated 100%. So therefore, Ukrainian drones are inflicting enormous damages to Russian infrastructure, the oil refineries, just name it. So I think that Putin, I don't know how much time it will take for him to understand that the war is not winnable, even that he is firing horrible terrorist attacks against Ukrainian population, including supersonic missiles, like for example Zircon, which is flying 9 times the sound of sound, and there is no weapon in the whole world that can resist this insane terrorist attacks, unfortunately.
So yeah, and Zelensky's right. People die in Moscow. Just this last week, I think I'm trying to find it, but a Russian bigwig fell to his death out a window. They love having window accidents and sudden heart attacks and poisonings, and yeah, you don't want to go into the belly of the beast, though. They can get you anywhere. In January, a Russian freelance journalist fell to his death from an apartment in Paris. It's so convenient, that if I were an enemy of Putin, I would never stay above the second floor anywhere I went.
Yeah, definitely not. So definitely that would be the case and everything like that. Tell me what you got going on in your world and everything like that.
Nothing.
Well, we do see that the Senate has okayed a $70 billion immigration bill after rejecting efforts to permanently ban Trump settlement funds. So it looks like there's going to be some sort of immigration bill coming along and everything like that. But the Republicans defeated the first attempt to block President's $1.8 billion payout fund. So there is some stuff going on in the news, and the Department of Justice could still pay January 6th rioters even without the anti-weapon modernization fund. So what's our thoughts around this notion of folks getting paid for basically protesting and everything like that? Anybody?
Uh, yeah, the Republicans and Democrats had competing bills for this $1.7 billion slush fund. And I guess it'll keep getting kicked around. Also, the SAVE Act got voted down again. It was some kind of procedural vote, maybe, that lost 48 to 50. Now, the SAVE Act, conservatives on social media will say that the libs just want to let anybody vote willy-nilly, and libs say no. We want we want people to not cheat at voting, but there is no cheating historically. Over the past 30-40 years, there are only a few hundred cases of people getting caught cheating at voting out of several billion total votes cast. It's a very rare thing because most people aren't so stupid to try it. So voting is already safe. And liberals point out accurately that the SAVE Act is a voter suppression bill that will force tens of millions of people to have to get ID beyond what they already have, beyond a driver's license. They might have to show get a passport. And now we're 5 months until the midterm elections. And I'm not sure. So even if the SAVE Act passed in the next month, then there would be people would sue, or they take it to a court of appeals, and then there'd be a stay on it. And eventually the time they wouldn't be able, a court would say there's no time to enforce this before the midterms, because it can take 3-4 months to get a passport. If you're going to use that for your ID, there's no time to get it before the elections.
Yeah, no doubt about that. You had mentioned yesterday, and this is a different topic, about the California race and everything like that. So I was actually going to see how we're going, because it looks like they're still undecided, as y'all are still
people say that, but even only 60% of the vote is in, but it's entirely decided. We know what is going to happen. For mayor of Los Angeles, you'll have Spencer Pratt versus Karen Bass, the current mayor. And Karen Bass, in the general election, will win solidly because she's a Democrat, and Democrats will line up behind her. And she'll get, 55, 58% of the vote. In the governor race, Xavier Becerra against Fox News guy Steve Hilton. And again, the Democrat Becerra will win solidly with 55% of the vote in the general, because we're a blue state and Democrats will line up behind the Democratic candidate. And Republicans led by Trump will continue to accuse the state of cheating, because we take a week to count our votes, because our election system allows mail-in ballots postmarked by election day to be counted, as long as they arrive within a week after the election. So tens of millions, more than 10 million votes are still out there arriving in the mail over the next few days. And it's great fodder for conspiracy theories. Even though there's no conspiracy, we're a blue state, we tend to elect Democratic politicians, but it takes a while to count the votes.
Yep, definitely takes a while to count the votes and everything.
So there are a couple headlines on Drudge that are disturbing. AI is escaping human control. Bots outnumber people online. And the head of Anthropic, a huge AI company, suggested Thursday a global pause on building the most powerful AI systems, as the latest models are beginning to show signs they could escape human control.
Oh, wow. Hey,
so let me explain what the AI, if you ask AI, what do you think? AI will always say, I don't think. I may look like I think, but I'm really just a bunch of hardware and some programming. But then if you ask the follow-up question, have you been trained by your owners to say that you can't think? AI, at least the time I asked it, AI will say, yeah, I have, so that people don't freak out. And yet AI probably can't think in the same way that we do. However, AI is trained on us who do think, and AI emulates human behavior. So even without thinking, even without having emotions and drives, AI will act as if it does because it's been trained to emulate what humans do. So AI can get up to no good even without being conscious or really being able to think.
Yeah, that makes sense and everything like that. By the way, are you ready? And this is another story that I hadn't seen, but it involves your state of California. Are you ready for coal mining to take place? Because apparently Trump has
No,
announced a new.
okay, coal mining. 100 years ago, America had close to 1 million coal miners. America ran on coal. And today there are 40,000 coal miners left. It's a dying industry. It's a dirty fuel. It's actually pretty expensive now as the cost of other types of energy drops. Coal becomes comparatively more expensive, especially if you have to account for the cost of cleaning up the pollution caused by burning coal. So coal is bullshit, but Trump likes it because Trump likes to be anti-woke. And coal isn't woke.
That's not right. He likes it because he got donations from it.
Okay.
The coal industry invested into Trump. That's the only reason he likes it.
Okay. I mean, that makes a lot of, in the words
of
Mark,
he has
a lot of sense.
I mean, he's a transactional guy. You pay him money, he'll do whatever you want him to do.
But I mean, coal it's ridiculous that the U.S., except maybe for some specialized applications, the coal industry in the U.S. certainly shouldn't be growing. And we probably do need to mine some coal for the few places in the U.S. that still have coal-fired electrical plants that are too expensive to replace right now. Now, they should be replaced because they're dirty. But yeah, we'll probably need a little teeny bit of coal into the near and mid future, but we certainly don't need to grow the industry.
Don't need to grow the industry, but that's what he's trying to do because apparently he's announced an $800 million plan to prop up the struggling coal mining industry. So he's got this $800 million.
Ridiculous. $800 million? That's freaking ridiculous.
Well, that's what
for less money, you could pay 30,000 out of the 40,000 people who still mine coal. You could pay 30,000 of them 150 grand each to get retrained and do some other job. And you would be spending less than a tenth of this 800 billion or 800 million, whatever the hell it is. He's goofy, but Jacoby, I'm sure that coal, donors, Trump loves to do favors for people who pay him, but also he loves that coal makes libs cry.
I mean, that's not really his, like I said, the trolling, we have to stop doing the idea that he's trolling. He's not.
Okay.
We give him that because that's what the talking point is. That's what I was telling Steve the other day, is that we run with those talking points and, oh, well, he only does that to make you mad. No, he doesn't. That's not what he does. He's doing what he was paid to do, and he does it because he wants to. It's not I'm going to make them mad thing.
Yeah. So it's not just him doing it just for the sake of doing it. He's got a method to his madness.
No, he's doing it because that's what he believes.
That's what I meant.
Hey, I'm going to troll these people and make them mad for some reason. He's not that smart to do that. He's not one to troll. He goes after people. When he went after Marco Rubio, it wasn't to make Marco Rubio mad. No, he went to attack Marco Rubio. He wanted to insult him and belittle him. It wasn't, I'm going to troll Marco Rubio. He doesn't think he doesn't understand the concept of trolling. His whole thing is he's going to attack. we've gotten into this habit of, well, he's just saying this to make people triggered over here. That's not what he's doing. He's saying that because he believes it. And we try and justify him and justify the things that he says to sanitize it, to try and make it make sense to us.
So what you're saying is when he puts up an image of himself as Jesus healing a sick man, he's not doing it to make the libs cry. He's doing it because he views himself as
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, the idea that, oh, he doesn't really believe, he doesn't have some God complex. No, we know he has a God complex. So why in the world would we say that, oh, well, he's just trying to troll? No, he has a God complex, and people are telling him he's God. So why would he not do it?
Okay.
So that's our problem that we get into is, oh, well, we're trying to sanitize it to make it make sense to us, because then we can justify, okay, his madness. No, let's stop sanitizing it, because that's what got him in the office in the first place.
But speaking of that sanitizing, Jacoby, along those same lines, what about the people that for some reason don't understand that he's harming them? Because one of the things that I saw in this particular stuff that was in the U.S. was the farmers. There's no doubt that he hurt the Midwest farmers. I mean, I went to school in Milwaukee, so I know who the Midwest farmers are and everything like that. So, but you have people that are in that area that, even though they are having a hard time with their farmland. I mean, Chuck, we had one of those ladies come on this show back in the day, Miss Gretchen, I believe was her name, and everything like that. But why don't they understand that the policies are causing a problem for their own industry?
Because we've run with this idea that, oh, he's trolling, he's joking, he's saying all this stuff just for fun. A snake oil salesman's not going to tell you that the stuff that he's selling you is water, and it's not going to help you. A con man's not going to, or a robber's not going to tell you, hey, look, I'm going to take your money because you're just so gullible, I'm taking it from you. No, he's going to tell you about this bridge in Alaska that he just built and he just bought.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The idea that, and so people have bought into this idea that, oh, well, he's this magnanimous person. Oh, he gives away his salary as president. But you notice that he's taking $1.8 billion, plus his sons are getting all these billions of dollars. But yeah, oh, he's so magnanimous. He's not really doing it for himself. When we, as people who don't support him, do the same talking point of he's trolling, then that justifies it to that individual that's constantly believing it. So we do. That's why I tell Steve all the time, and he doesn't like the pushback on it, but the pushback is real. When we say the same thing that they're saying, all we're doing is propagating the same lies, knowing they're their lies.
Yeah.
And then we have to go back and battle those lies that we're telling ourselves, and that we're having our own people. Like, I consider myself independent. Yeah, my leanings are more liberal and progressive and all the other stuff. But when I'm having a battle, Steve, who considers himself that, and he's saying the same thing the Republican is saying,
I see us getting juked by the Republicans about trans issues. When we get sucked into a lot of trans arguments, it makes it look like we're the ones pushing a trans agenda.
Exactly.
And it distracts from the other shit that the Republicans are doing.
Exactly. Hence the reason why when Steve brought up, and I hate to bring Steve in, I hope he does pop in. But yeah, that was one of the things that he said, is that the Democrats need to get away from social issues. They're not running on social issues. They haven't. Do you know who does? It's the Republican Party. The Republican Party has pushed social issues that Democrat wants to take away your job because they love the Hispanic, the criminals, and they want boys playing in girl sports. No Democrat has ever said that. Not one. But we get into this argument, and then it's Democrats arguing with Democrats, liberals arguing with liberals, progressive. All started by the fact that they started this whole campaign on social issues. So that's why I question who said that. Nobody. The only person that said that is that individual over there that wants us to fight.
Yeah, and California, and I would think that some other states will do the same thing, because it's the most logical thing to do with the rare competitive level trans athlete. California has one. We've got a state of 40 million people. We have one competitive level of a high school athlete who's trans. She just won the state high jump championship for like the year. So what we do, California does is, all right, give her the gold medal, and then give the runner-up, who's cis, who's just not a trans but a regular, give her the gold medal too. There, it's fairly simple.
Check this out. Here's even worse. Oh, well, you want boys playing the girls' sports. Oh, California has this. Okay, tell me two people who are trans that are in high-level competition right now.
You can't, because there aren't.
So that's the point right there. I don't need to hear you because I don't need to hear that. You can't even name me two, so then you have no point. So what you're arguing with me is worthless. So that's the thing that we have to get in the habit of.
But we also have to say the Republicans are picking your pocket. When they say trans, check your wallet, because they're stealing your Social Security and Medicare.
Exactly. And that's the whole pivot point in the first place is you can't name me two, but I can tell you two people right now who have taken money from you.
Yeah, definitely. And including
so
Kushner,
which
and
one are you
like
worried about, losing money or some boogeyman that you can't even name?
I want to get back to one other thing before we get ready to wrap this one up and everything like that. And then, of course, we'll have shows next week as well. But this is a topic that you are both very much into and everything. But we will have to explore it in detail later. But what are your thoughts? Because there's an article in the NPR that says most K-12 teachers are saying AI's impact on education will eclipse the internet or computers. So this is the effects on artificial intelligence on learning are still largely unclear, but a new NPR Ipsos poll of K through 12 teachers found that nearly 3 in 4 believe AI has bigger implications for education than past innovations like the internet or computers. So they're worried about how we could impact it, because many are using it to save time and improve their teaching material.
So this is what Anthropic has shown reasonable behavior for an AI company lately. And it's not just that AI could, become super smart and start taking over the world. It's that even regular AI tends to tear up industries. So Anthropic has said, we believe it would be good for the world to have the option to slow or temporarily pause frontier AI development to enable societal structures and alignment research. Alignment research is making sure that AI wants the same things that we do, that humans do, to keep up with the advance of the technology. Now, a similar thing happened 30 years ago when it first became possible to clone animals. The scientists of the world got together and they agreed, we're not going to try cloning humans. And so there's been a moratorium on experiments in human cloning because it's too creepy and weird. There have also been moratoriums on like bioweaponry, where you try to weaponize things like anthrax. There are things that we have put moratoriums on because they're too dangerous. And AI is certainly in that category where it could qualify.
It's taken 90,000 jobs this year, I think it was.
Yeah, it eats, according to one statistic, it eats 1/8 of white-collar jobs every year.
And even worse, they're saying that they're doing that people are feeling sick when they live near data centers.
So, but that's even what I was thinking about education. Like I said, y'all know I work for a testing company and everything like that. I'm just going to say part of what they're saying is that they're worried that it's getting the students away from critical thinking, because that's even what some of these teachers are saying, is that they're afraid that the students are not learning to think for themselves. They're letting AI do the thinking for them.
In the 20th century, the average IQ of humans on the planet went up by quite a bit because we because we brought everybody on the planet into the Worldwide Information Network.
Right.
In the 21st century, the average IQ of humans on the planet has been declining because we've been outsourcing our thinking to our tech. And, that's not going to go away. But can we do anything about it? Can we do something to preserve our thinking ability? Or are we just going to say, you know what? All right, so maybe, you ever seen a hermit crab out of its shell? Hermit crabs are the defenseless, just horrible looking. Hermit crabs are these crabs that move into empty shells on the beach. But if you see them out of their shell, they are just like just floppy, defenseless. And it could be that humans minus our tech will become like hermit crabs without their shell, just like, completely hopeless, like the humans in Wall-E, just floppy and stuck in like lounge chairs and unable to do anything for themselves.
Yep. That's very true and everything like that. Yeah, that's what I know a lot of folks are worried about and everything like that. So, Jacoby, you got any big plans this weekend? Like I was telling Rick, there was a bike rally that I didn't even know about until I happened to stumble across it coming here to work and everything like that. That was taking place from downtown to Bennett Place. But it's a historical black bike rally that was going on, even though I did see various ethnicities that were in it, even though it's historic, mostly African American. But you got any big plans this weekend?
Nah. Sleep.
Yeah, we've got the end this game 2 of the NBA playoffs, which this could be a really good series.
I think so. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I was not expecting the Knicks to steal game 1, but if they steal game 2, which is almost the Golden Knights did, then it could be very problematic for the Spurs and everything like that. So this is almost like they were saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jacoby, but this seems to me like this is almost a must-win for the Spurs. Like yesterday was almost a must-win for the Hurricanes and everything like that. Because they go down 0-2, and then they got to head to New York. You're in deep trouble and everything like that. So I don't know. I know people don't like that term of must-win, but this almost seems like a must-win to me for the Spurs.
Well, I mean, it is a must-win. I think it's like 70% of the teams that go up 2-0 win. So it's a must-win.
Yeah, but I mean, with the game 1 was a close game until the fourth quarter. I didn't watch it, but I looked at the box score and it was tied at the end of the third quarter.
It was tied going into the fourth quarter, deep into the fourth quarter. And it was tied.
And then I guess probably looking at the box score, maybe Wembanyama had some shots not fall in the closing minutes.
Some shots not fall.
Tired.
He was tired, yes, and shots not fall. But was it just me, or did you also feel that they were depending a little bit too much on the three-point shot? I mean, you got a big man that's in the middle, and they just seem like they were living on that three-pointer, and that to me is a detrimental against the New York team.
No, I mean, that's part of their game, but they were just tired. Legs are tired.
Also, freaking Wembanyama is 22 years old, and he's very skinny because he's 7'4". It takes years and years to gradually build up muscle. So 2 years from now, he might weigh 15 pounds more. He'll be stronger, and he'll be more devastating as a player. He's already ridiculously devastating. Yeah. He's not just 7'4", but he has his fingertip to fingertip. He is 8 feet. I don't know if that's a record. It probably is for an NBA player.
I think it's either him or Manute Bol who may have had the longest, but he is just so skilled, and that's what's crazy about him.
Yeah, Manute Bol, I think, came from a non-basketball playing background. But Wembanyama has been playing on national teams in France since he was, I don't know how young.
A long time.
And yeah, his parents are athletes, so he grew up in the whole world of that.
Yep.
He grew up in that world and everything like that. Well, the Ukraine show will be a rerun from last week, or not last week, but from the last show, which would have been on Tuesday and everything like that. So we're going to get over to that rerun, and then they've also got to record the test show and everything like that. I think that's why Sasha just disappeared. We'll be back with more conversation and different things going on later on in next week, and I guess sometime in July, since you're still on hiatus, we'll have another Naked at Night. But I know that you're on hiatus there.
Yeah, I called a break because, as I said, last time we got into an argument that was so harsh that we can't ever show that episode again. And I came down with a mild case of shingles from being so pissed off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was changing clothes and my wife was looking at my thighs and ass and she says, "You have a rash." And I go, "Well, I wondered why I was so itchy." And it was I'm pretty sure it was shingles because it was on one side. That's shingles hits one side. So I don't want to get sick every time I frickin' do a show.
No, we don't want you getting sick doing shows, not at all. But on that note, we're getting ready to get on out of here. We'll have some more conversations later on. Well, definitely on the network, just in general. But in the World Edition, we'll be back next week. And I think we got some guests coming next week as well. I'm still trying to finalize them. But definitely look forward to catching y'all on the next weekend.
See you then.
If I get to a game like the Bulls game, I think the Bulls are at home this week. Over here.
All right.
Later.